Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. Just getting myself all set up here. Um, Welcome. If you haven't had a chance yet, please do throw where you're joining us from into the chat today. My name is Cadie. I'm going to be your host today. I joined Zipline back in January on the product team, and my team is focused on Zipline learning and employee engagement for frontline teams. Our primary purpose is to foster a connected and engaged workforce where teams feel motivated, informed, and empowered. It's really fun work that I do, and I'm so excited to be joining you as your host today. Our guests, though, today are experts in their craft. Both Stephanie and Kaylen came to Zipline as customers with similar challenges that many of you probably face. They wanted to improve ways to train their growing teams, get better compliance tracking and create more engaging training experiences. So what's exciting is how quickly they got up and running with us, and we're really excited to learn from them today. So with that, I'm very happy to welcome Stephanie Mothershed, Learning and Development Manager from Hollywood Feed, and Kaylen Coombs from Tecovas, who is their training manager. And so thank you both for being here with us. Do you mind saying hello and giving us a little introduction? Stephanie, I'll start with you, and then you could pass to Kaylen. Oh, we can't hear you just yet. I think you just need to unmute yourself.
And there we are. Hi, everyone. I am Stephanie Mothershed, the Learning and Development Manager for Hollywood Feed, a specialty pet supply store rooted in Memphis, Tennessee. What really sets us apart at Hollywood Feed is our commitment to helping pet owners feel confident and educated about the products they choose for their four-legged family members. We officially launched Zipline in October of 2024, and Learning launched quickly after in January of this year.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Kaylen Combs. I'm the Senior Manager of Training for Tecovas. We are the fastest growing Western brand whose founder believed in taking the magic of the West and serving it up through a modern, customer-focused lens. We've had our eyes focused on the Zipline for a couple of years now, but we are really thrilled to have officially launched to all of our frontline employees in June of this year, learning included.
Amazing. Well, welcome both of you. Thank you so much for making time to connect with our audience today. I'm very excited to get started. Before we officially dive in with our expert guests, I'm going to set the stage a wee bit with some common reasons why organizations are investing in learning. So some of these may resonate with you, but how today's learning programs have changed as well, and give you some helpful shopping tips if you're looking for improvement to your L&D programs, potentially even with some new tooling. So as we know, it isn't just about training and compliance. Those things are important, of course, but it's about building a motivated, consistent, and adaptable workforce that delivers better results and keeps us ahead of the competition. So really leveraging learning as part of our overall strategy and plan. There are a few reasons we see organizations investing in more modern training tools. So brands are looking to boost retention, number one, with more employee growth opportunities that keep their frontline team motivated and loyal to their brand. We know retention is widely monitored and a challenging metric to move in our industry. For consistency, standardized training really helps create a unified brand experience for customers like yourselves. And no matter what channel those customers come to you on, training really creates that consistency across your entire brand. Well-trained teams remain more agile. They adapt more quickly to new products and processes that you're rolling out and shifting customer needs that happen in the market. Informed employees deliver better service and meet compliance requirements with more confidence. So we see this in practice in store locations, for example. And lastly, we know training is also a huge competitive advantage. So strong L&D programs really support a front line that outperforms your competitors on service, on speed, and being adaptable. Today's learning programs are different though. So one size fits all doesn't necessarily cut it anymore. We're really looking from our L&D programs to be more personalized, mobile, and designed to keep learning going anywhere that work is happening for your teams. Modern learning meets people where they are. So on any device in any location, making learning flexible, engaging, and more easy to access today than it ever has been before. And now, especially more than before, we can deliver anything from full learning and training paths to micro learnings, which can be quick snapshots that you deliver on a regular basis to your teams. You can do that using your own content, third-party content, or content that your vendors and your brands are giving you as well. So training can be customized and targeted to the right individuals, roles, or teams with modern tools, and extended through live or virtual training events. So there's just so many more digital ways to support training, and also more customized and personalized ways as well. You can also now better track progress with learning and knowledge checks and some pretty advanced analytics with a lot of today's modern learning tools that we just didn't have access to before. So we're also giving leaders here really clear visibility into completion rates with trainings, and the overall impact is much easier to tie back to training for your business outcomes that you're driving. The right learning tool should fit seamlessly into your operations and actually make it easier for teams to learn and perform. So when you're considering or evaluating a learning platform, start with compatibility, of course. So it should really integrate into your existing tech stack, and training should be part of the regular daily workflow. You'll see some examples of where this can go wrong a little bit later, but look for features that drive adoption overall, and engagement overall, tying essential training directly to important work so that teams stay engaged and perform consistently across the board. If you're omni-channel, choose an omni-channel solution. This may sound obvious, but look for solutions that work anywhere your people are. So on mobile, in the back office, for example, in a warehouse, or even in a delivery van. Like, learning is so mobile at this point that you want to make sure it's going to work where your people are. Flexibility for your content is also really key. Ask about support for SCORM, support for third-party content, or ensuring that you can produce your own materials with ease if that is something of interest to you. Advanced reporting, which I touched on earlier, should give you a really clear view of progress by store, role, or individual, and help you act quickly to improve your completion rates on your training programs. And it may also seem obvious, and it's not on the bullets here, but pick a solution partner that will work with you and support you in the ways that make your business unique and special, of course. And we're going to just do a very quick poll, get everybody energized and interacting. You should see a little pop-up right in front of you there. And what we're looking for here is just to find out, what are your current challenges with your frontline training programs? We'd love everybody to just select an option there, and I'll give everybody a moment to tell us what they think or where their biggest challenges are before we move forward. Right now, I can see that getting employees to complete their assigned training is definitely a big challenge. Having data and insights is also quite important, but it looks like we might have a clear winner. So I'm just going to go ahead. Last chance. We're going to share results. I can't actually see if it's popped up. I think it is, but we've got getting employees to complete their assigned trainings definitely seems to be the #1 challenge. And we do have some great tips on that today. And you're going to hear both from Stephanie and, oh, sorry, let me just get rid of that for us. You're going to hear both from Stephanie and Kaylen, a few tips there on how to improve that for sure. All right. The good news is you're not alone, and thankfully there's some great solutions out there, including Zipline, of course, to help improve with those completion rates. We hear often about gaps in reporting data as well, for example, and obviously there's a few people on listening in today that feel the same. Customers come to us when they have outgrown their current tooling quite often, or when multiple software tools start to increase costs and create more adoption challenges than they do broad benefits. So all of these things probably feel very familiar. We also hear some common concerns and challenges that customers face when they've decided to make changes to their L&D programs or tools. So if you are in that zone, Even the strongest learning strategies and launches can hit bumps in the road. Migrating large volumes of content, for example, takes time and focus and often reveal gaps that require fresh materials to be created or sourced. And without strong feedback mechanisms, it's hard to know what's landing and what's not with your teams. So giving that some consideration is really important. We're going to hear from Kaylen and Stephanie a little bit about how they gathered feedback in a minute. And resourcing constraints or competing priorities for your organization can obviously slow down updates and impact the quality of your training programs. And of course, budget pressure means every investment in L&D has to be balanced with cost-saving goals for your organization while still showing measurable value. So who better to help us navigate these challenges than the experts we have joining today? For those considering a move to a new learning platform, or if you're simply curious about refreshing your learning programs, we'll next chat through the strategies that both Stephanie and Kaylen deployed with their teams, and we'll also hear about the learnings they had from the launch of their fresh learning content. So we'll start with Hollywood Feed's strategy before launch and jump to how Tecovas prepared for their launch as well. So welcome back again to the stage, Stephanie. We're so excited to learn from you today. It was so great meeting you for the first time at summer camp back in June and connecting with you again for this webinar.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Katie. It's great to be here today.
Awesome. Well, I believe we're starting off today with a bit of background on Hollywood Feed. Could you tell us a bit more about your brand and your learning programs?
Absolutely. For Hollywood Feed, it's not just about selling products. We want our feed team members to have expert knowledge so our customers can make informed decisions for their four-legged family members. So to support that, we have training programs for product training, where we collaborate with our merchandising team and vendors to provide education on all of the various products we carry in our stores. Internal classes, where we encompass crucial foundational training, providing our team members with insight into Hollywood Feeds operations. Some of these key trainings are company history and culture, sales and systems, and our same day delivery and ship from store processes. Master classes. Hollywood Feed offers monthly master classes featuring experts in pet related topics such as off leash walking and summer hydration. These sessions are led by trainers, veterinarians, or our research and innovation manager, ensuring expert-led content. The training is live streamed, followed by a live Q&A session where the expert answers audience questions. Now, while Zipline Learning supports our product training and internal classes, our master classes are a distinct offering, and we specifically sought out Zipline Learning's help to enhance these unique master classes. All of our Zipline assigned learnings include a live Q&A session to address team questions, highlighting the value of I'm so sorry, of a live training element. But a minor challenge with our master classes is that they serve both internal members and our external audience, our customers. Part of our strategy was to look at how we can make this seamless migration for our teams and make our lives easier too.
Well, it's a great segue. Could you share a bit more about that strategy then and how you approached your new training programs for us? I mean, given that you had this comprehensive learning library already established.
Yeah, of course. Our strategy really had four key elements. Start, stop, and continue means thinking through the things that are important to keep, let go of, and that are critical to start doing as well. Consider your goals here and what will help you achieve them. Next, think through your communication plan. How will you inform and bring people along while you migrate and build new learning programs? Gathering feedback is also so important. It's how you'll know if you're doing it all right. Lastly, plan to ensure that people adopt and feel supported throughout the change and transition.
I love these principles, and I am excited to go a bit deeper on each one. Why don't we start with stop, start, and continue? Tell us more.
Absolutely. First, we went through the exercise of start, stop, continue. We looked at what we were sharing and how we were sharing it to evaluate the best way to support our teams going forward. Through this exercise, we moved forward with stopping the use of our old LMS and sending teams to a third-party product vendor site while we began the build. We started making Zipline the one-stop shop for communicating and registering for learning courses and programs. Continued providing public access to master classes, but started making the point of entry Zipline for our teams.
Well, it sounds like you really took the time to consider what would best support your teams. That's amazing. That stop, start, continue framework is so great for so many things. I use it all the time as well. You mentioned your vendor sites here. Could I just double click on that one for a moment? and your vendors learning content. Could you share a little bit more information about that?
Yeah, of course. Many of our vendors make their product training available for retailers to pull, which is so convenient. But we want to put our Hollywood feed spin on it, how to speak to our customers about it and sell it. And having those resources and being able to easily add that content into Zipline Learning is a game changer.
Well, I love to hear that, of course. And it's the perfect queue up towards some of your actual training rollout. Do you mind showing us how you leverage different features in Zipline to launch one of your training programs as part of your
Y-
build and as part of your communication strategy as well?
Yes, for sure. The primary goal was to make product training searchable by brand. I'll actually walk you through that on the screen. Within our catalog as shown here, we created a product training category with subcategories for each brand. For instance, under A Pup Above, we have 2 courses. We designed this particular course with quick quizzes embedded throughout to assess knowledge progressively. The ability to view quiz results for us to gauge our team's performance. I'm highlighting this course because we also conducted an internal class, Why USA Made, in addition to the Up Up Above training, focusing on our private label USA products. To set our teams up for success, we then created a learning track that contains the product training courses and for Up Up Above, as well as our internal course, Why USA Made. Assigning a track ensures our teams come ready and knowledgeable to our live streams, which as you can see here, we are using the learning events. We offer multiple times to accommodate schedules and individuals can register for the time that works for them. And with Zipline's notifications, they get a reminder as well.
Well, your multi-angle structure for this program is really thoughtful. You made the content easy to find. You then assigned the content to very specific teams to prepare for your internal classes, and then topped it off with learning events with multiple time slots. That's solving a very practical challenge of getting really busy retail teams to actually attend and complete their training, which obviously for the audience today is a big challenge. And so those are obviously critical pieces of your training program, but we also have a ton of communicators probably in the room today as well. Could you tell us how comms have played a role in the success of your training programs and, helping get those completion rates going?
Yeah, communication is key. And I think that's where coming from stores really has helped. I know how busy our teams are, so it was important to me that we get this right, anticipate questions, outline the process and expectations, and give them space for questions. Before our first class, we sent out a kickoff message answering the who, what, where, why, and how. With this message, we also added a help forum so that if we left a question unanswered, our teams have the forum to ask and everyone can see the question and our responses. Now, I'm sure others in the audience have experienced not getting the results we want with the first message. Because we had the help from the forum, we used those questions and then refined and updated our message. And while I don't have direct number results, we knew it worked because, well, crickets. Previously, we had to have our IT teams and customer service team on standby to assist with questions and tech issues. But being able to figure out how to immediately meet our employees where they were was a game changing for us. And now our team of 2 can handle it all.
Well, you really obviously thoughtfully prepared for any friction points here, and made things much easier for your teams by planning ahead of time. That's great. And the fact that you created tutorial videos and provided tech support shows you were thinking about the entire experience for your employees and not just the learning content itself, which is so great. You mentioned the importance of gathering feedback, and we've touched on this a couple of times, and an intention towards continuous improvement as well after launch. So could you share how you gathered feedback and what you learned from it?
Of course, using help forums was our initial avenue for feedback. They were reading the message and while in there had the ability to quickly post their question, quick and efficient. The more clicks we require, the more time our associates are away from customers. So help forums were a big win for us to learn how to improve not only our communication, but also take these points into consideration for updating our message and our courses. We also use groups to gather questions for each of the Q&A sessions. We have a dedicated group for each Q&A session topic, and then we compile and bring these to our live Q&A to be asked live. And finally, we improve our processes as Zipline launches new functionality. Prior to events, we were using learning activities to facilitate the registration process. And so, of course, we love the addition of events. And as you saw, we are regular users of this new functionality. Plus, with our new regular use of events, our operation partners were able to see the value of events and are now starting to use them for our weekly store manager calls.
Oh, that's so great. We definitely have a few customers now using learning events and getting some additional value there. I love how you're also just leveraging different tools that are at your disposal to gather feedback from employees by meeting them where they are, of course. Such great advice. Now, I know there's a final piece to your strategy here, and that is something we want to share as well. So could you tell us more about what the step called Reinforce and Celebrate sort of toward the end here means for you and your team?
Yeah, for us, once we learned from feedback and improved our processes, we first sent a recap message at the end of our first month of learning. This message called out the changes and updates we'd made since the launch, including providing clarity around expectations of the three programs, product, internal, and master classes. And most importantly, we celebrated the wins, our completion rates that Zipline Learning made possible. When we shift or change our processes, we need a single source of truth for our teams, and by sending a recap, we could provide that. And to keep our live sessions front and center, we add a dashboard widget to our Zipline dashboard on the day of the live stream so that even on crazy busy days, our teams know that from Zipline, they're just one click away from their trainings.
I love this approach so much. Just really surfacing it in the most commonly sort of viewed place. It really centers everyone in your organization around the progress forward, shows that you're listening to their feedback, of course, and makes everything easier to access. That's super awesome.
It absolutely does, Katie.
Sorry.
Making everything easier and more efficient for our retail staff is what it's really all about. And looking back, these are a few of my key takeaways. Save yourself thoroughly by auditing your content before migrating. Listen to and be open for feedback throughout the process, not just at a specific time. And remember that you can leverage communication, messaging, events, and other tools already available to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Stephanie. And thanks for pulling me forward there. I was having trouble with my slide notes, but we really appreciate you sharing all these learnings with us. Thank you so much again. And we'll definitely be bringing you back for some Q&A at the end. So you're not done quite yet, but we are ready to welcome back Kaylen. So thank you so much for sharing all your insights with us and knowledge with us today as well. Kaylen, welcome back to the stage.
Thanks, Katie. I'm so happy to be back.
Well, we are happy to have you. I know there are some commonalities between your approach and Hollywood Feeds, but a lot of differences as well. Could you share more about your specific strategy and your recent training program launched with us?
I would be happy to. Before joining Zipline, we had definitely outgrown our previous LMS. We weren't able to offer content with the frequency we would have liked, and the reporting was not scaling with our business, leading to some unreliable metrics. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about when we decided to make the switch. And when that happened, we knew we'd have to break it down into more manageable pieces because transitioning to a new internet can be a really daunting task, especially when you are adding an LMS to that. So we broke it down into 4 main phases that applied to our learning transition as well. First was the audit. Auditing our existing content to make sure that we're only keeping what's still making sense for our business today. Tecovas turns 10 this year, so there have been a lot of different resources throughout the years. And when there's too much information to sift through, employees will take it upon themselves to make their own resources instead. And if things are out of date, trust begins to suffer. So we knew we had a chance to really establish trust as we implemented a new system with Zipline, and a thorough audit was going to be necessary to do so. In other words, we knew it was going to be garbage in, garbage out, and we wanted no garbage. So that was the purpose of phase 1, the audit. The next step would include migrating the best of the best to our new platform. Then, once we had migrated, we knew that field feedback would be essential in order to gain any sort of buy-in for making learning a new part of the daily routine. So creating a pilot program was a critical step in discovering our Zipline champions in our field and finding ways of integrating Zipline into what was already working rather than trying to reinvent the wheel or forcing Zipline into something new. Finally, we launched Zipline to the full fleet while we were in person together during our field leadership conference. And being able to share the excitement of our learning launch in person was really contagious. And that positive energy created a lot of positive momentum as those leaders brought the new programs back to their stores. So I'm really looking forward to sharing a little more about each of those phases today.
Amazing. And well, let's start off with your audit. Could you tell us more about how you kicked off?
Yeah, the audit honestly was a project in and of itself. This was our largest phase of them all, and we chose to lean on our project management team for their expertise here. While they might not be the first thought when it comes to a comms project, we knew that they were going to know how to set a positive tone and clearly define the objectives in our roadmap. So we brought in our retail project managers for this piece. They chose to do a kickoff email that explained what we were doing, why we were doing it, who was in charge of what, and how progress would be tracked. So if you're following, that's just the 5 W's and the H, very similar to what Stephanie touched on earlier. And we followed this with a call to review, demo, and answer any questions. And here you can see an excerpt from that email, which was a sort of decision tree that each person could use as they were auditing resources. So, giving them some guidance how to decide, is this resource still relevant for the field? If no, what do you do? If yes, how do you go from there to continue to refine that resource to make it the best it can be, how to continue to update the resource, and then again, how to ensure that all of the correct business partners have been included in any updates. Maybe you think it's the best it can be, but there's something you haven't thought of yet. So we really took the time to make sure that this was the most robust piece of our entire process so that everything from that point could be as smooth as possible.
Amazing. So I love the garbage in, garbage out. It's definitely will stick in my mind for sure. Could you tell us a little bit more then once you kind of had that initial audit going, what was planning and execution like in that phase?
Because we knew it was going to be such a robust project, we knew we were going to need a lot of hands. And with that, we were going to need a centralized place to share all of those files, assign those peer reviewers, and track the progress of what resources needed to be updated, replaced, removed, etc. So we put together a board. We use Monday.com. A good old spreadsheet can do the trick, whatever tools you have in your toolbox. But this removed the need for those one off emails or direct messages. And that way it was visible to everyone. So there were no questions as to what had or had not been completed. So you can see a little screenshot of ours there. This was my section for learning. And by laying out our roadmap this way up front, it gave all the partners the visibility they needed to manage their time and resources. So it really helped them align this work with their other commitments that were outside of Zipline, which really reduced any surprises or last minute scrambles. And again, when everything lives in one place, it was much easier for everyone to stay on the same page because this central hub made it clear who was responsible for what, and no one felt the need to chase down any information. So, starting with the audit helped us front load the heavy lift when we had the most enthusiasm for the project and the most momentum. And we were able to identify any of the gaps, clean things up, and set a really strong foundation for the project so that everything that followed was more about fine tuning rather than feeling like we were having to continuously start from scratch.
Okay, well, I know who to borrow. If I have a large project I need to roll out, I will call you, Kaylen.
It's
Um,
not me, it's our project managers.
fair. It's so great that you focused on your partners and collaboration here and can just visually also share that work with us today. Obviously, project planning was so critical to your success. So kudos for being so organized as a team there. I love that you audit the content as opposed to a simple lift and shift. We hear that all the time. But when it came time to also migrate that content that you did decide to keep, tell us how you handled that.
Yeah, after completing that audit phase, we were finally ready to migrate our courses. And because we had such a thorough audit process, it only took us about a month to transfer all of that content. And ahead of that, we did have a quick whiteboard session to just at a high level lay out how we wanted to organize our library topics and our learning catalog so that we knew at a high level how everything was going to lay out. And once that migration was complete, we intentionally set some peer reviewers from various departments to take a fresh look to make sure everything was in order. And that way we weren't checking our own work. So we could still divide and conquer, but those fresh eyes were really key in catching just any of those last little broken links or anything that might have slipped through the audit, because at the end of the day, we're only human, but we still wanted to make sure that everything was as flawless as possible, even though it was just a pilot, as some may say. But we only get one chance to make a first impression with our field. So we wanted to do our best to make it as perfect as we could. Because the content had already been audited and peer reviewed, it truly was a breeze to copy and paste the modules from our previous LMS without getting stuck or bogged down on those last minute revisions. Again, we're only human. There, of course, were a few here and there, but being able to truly trust the audit process helped you kind of get in that state of flow, really get in the groove, and just migrate a large amount of content quickly and efficiently. And lastly, we found it really helpful to set up a more casual communication channel for posting and answering questions, sharing milestones, and most importantly, recognizing team members, which kept everyone really engaged throughout the project. It was especially useful during migration, where everyone could build on the momentum of seeing our Zipline instance finally coming together. And you can see an example of that channel here. The first message is from our retail project manager, sharing some reminders of wrapping up the audit. The second one highlights our milestone of migrating our first library section. And then the last two messages recognize team members for their hard work. So similar to Stephanie, recognition and celebration were critical to the success of our learning launch.
Yeah, it's so great that you actively worked celebration into your migration plan. I can feel all the happy vibes from here. And it's great to have those milestones achieved and like be able to celebrate that with the team. That's great. Um, I'm sure that this also helped with driving accountability in the lead up to your pilot as well. Could you tell us more about what you did next to start the actual pilot?
It certainly did, and I'd be happy to. When it came to actually piloting with the field, what we, of course, were most looking forward to, we decided to take a less is more approach. And by taking a less is more approach, when we actually had the kickoff call with our pilot group, we were able to let them explore on their own and really identify where the platform was going to be more or less intuitive to them and see where we actually needed more targeted support for the full rollout rather than just overwhelming them with all the information possible. See what they grasped really quickly and easily and where they actually needed the help and go from there. We also decided to have a single feedback form for any questions, errors, broken links, suggestions, and that way we could keep it all in one place, making it really easy for our team to act on versus having 100 different email threads going and wondering who had responded to what. And finally, we were running the pilot during a busy season where we had numerous store openings planned. And this helped us make sure that we had full teams onboarding and testing the learning part of the platform during our pilot. So when these teams were onboarding, they immediately got added to our Zipline pilot group. While our existing stores were mostly getting familiar with messages and the day sheet and other parts of the Zipline platform, those new teams that were onboarding got very well acquainted with learning right away. Of course, looking back, we wish we had maybe added some tracks or courses here and there to assign to our existing teams so that they could come and play in the learning section as well. But that's the point of a pilot. You live and you learn.
Yeah, I love a good pilot rollout to test the waters a little bit, see what sticks. It's so critical to learn as you go to be able to react to that early feedback. And you don't always want to do it with the full team. So definitely appreciate that. But now we'd love to learn more about how you went from pilot to launch. What did that look like? How did you go about it?
Yeah, we're honestly still in that phase, I'd say. It's still our first few months using Zipline with our entire fleet, so we're still learning new things all the time. But when we did go ahead and fully launch Zipline, we did have a live call with all our store managers about a week before. And this time around, we were able to tailor it to any of the blind spots we found during our pilot and clear up any confusion that came up during that time. So we were able to create some more video overviews for our visual learners based on user feedback so that they'd feel fully supported and confident getting started. And what we found to be most successful is that we aligned our full launch with our in person field leadership conference. So we knew we'd have dedicated time to explore the platform together in person and tackle those questions in real time as our store managers and customer service team leads got up to speed. So we were able to tie Zipline with all of the other key goals and initiatives discussed that week, which immediately set the tone that Zipline is a key priority for the company and for our field. And launching learning along with the rest of Zipline's features allowed us to pull the plug on our old LMS right away and show a smooth transition that showcased the immediate benefits of consolidating our systems, which was a piece of feedback that led us to Zipline in the first place. We had too many systems. Well, here you go. Now they're all in one. You're welcome. And finally, having a longer pilot period led to some organic Zipline champions who taught us a thing or two along the way. We had some area managers and store managers who took to the platform right away and were fearless explorers who were raising their hand throughout the conference, sharing what they had learned during the pilot. And we took some time to let them go around table to table and help out their peers. So we were able to give them a platform to easily share their tips and tricks in a more casual forum during the conference without needing to coordinate something more formal for them to do so, which we found really stuck with their peers and led to great retention for those learnings.
Well, I love a zipline champion wherever I can find them. And so now that you're kind of through that initial pilot, what stands out for you as you've transitioned into the launch phase, more into like a post roll out mindset? And also reminding everyone, this is still very new at this point. You only launched a couple of months ago. So, but tell us what's next.
Yeah. I think the thing that excites me the most is now that we're no longer limited by the number of users we can have in the platform on a monthly basis, we have teamed up this summer with our interns to look at some learning gaps in our field and create like our dream course catalog and offer more content for our field. And we also want to explore using learning events. So I will be in contact with Stephanie going forward. And one idea we've had is how we can use these learning events to support our areas of responsibility in our field. So, for example, our visual leads in our stores don't have emails. And when we want to get on a call with them, we send it to the store and hope for the best. We think a learning event could be a great way to get in touch with them and send them or invite them to a call rather. So we look forward to using learning events for that functionality. And we're also empowering our store managers and our field leaders to take a more active role in their team's learning journeys by making the reporting more transparent for them. And this is hopefully going to allow us to develop more reliable KPIs for training that we can continue to track in the future as we grow with Zipline. We have a very competitive set of leaders in our field. So I see this really growing with us as we continue.
Amazing. So there's some incredible takeaways here from your initial launch. Thank you again so much for sharing all of this with us. You now also get a wee break before we jump to Q&A. We're going to do another quick poll with the audience and see what of all of the things that you've learned or heard today kind of resonated with you. So in particular, we're going to spin up the poll here. Which of the tactics that you've heard today do you see yourself needing most for your own learning program? So for those in the audience, we would love to just see, what's really resonating, what have you found useful? This will also help us tailor some of our content going forward to making sure that we're providing great knowledge and expertise in particular areas. So I've got very even, where, creating feedback and mechanisms is a big one. Auditing and cleaning up legacy content also resonating really well. Everybody already knows how to communicate and celebrate. Apparently that one's not quite as popular, but all right, why don't we go ahead and release the results? And you can see here very evenly distributed between the feedback mechanisms. Maybe folks hadn't really thought about planning for that up front. And also just the auditing and cleaning up of legacy content. We see that a lot in our resource library as well. Those regular audits and cleanups and making sure everything is ticky-boo is really a great idea. All right. So I will move us along, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks. Sorry, I've lost my place. Time to summarize. We're going to do a quick recap before we let you all go back to your daily lives. So pre-launch, some of the things we heard about today and that we definitely want you to take away from today's session are to clearly define your objectives for your launch plan if you're launching a new training program. Definitely heard this both from Stephanie and from Kaylen. What does success look like for you and your team at the end of this, right? And really thinking that through up front. The audit of your existing and legacy content is so important. The garbage in, garbage out mentality here. You don't want to carry forward not bad habits, but old habits. And you want to start off with your best foot forward for sure. And then anticipating feedback up front, not only after you've launched, but throughout the process, and building in some of those feedback mechanisms along the way will also really help you with success of your programs. And then when it comes to launch time, building and monitoring those feedback loops, continuing to nurture them, make sure there's someone present there throughout this process and, able to answer questions, communicating progress and celebrating wins. We know that this comes naturally probably to the audience here today, but if it doesn't, a great call out here to just, keep people motivated and also contributing towards your goal as an organization. Creating those milestones and celebrating those wins is really impactful. And then staying agile with your content strategy. We're introducing new tooling all the time. With AI, there's new tooling available to us all the time. Being open to trying new things and staying agile with your strategy is really key. And with that, I think we only have a minute or two for some Q&A, but that's okay. If you do have questions, you can go ahead and throw them in the chat. We do have someone monitoring the chat for this. I'm going to start us off or jump us off with 2 preceded questions. And if we have time for more, that will be great. But Stephanie, I'm going to come to you first, and hopefully that's okay. And ask you just fairly simple question to start, but what's the biggest change, I'm curious, that you've seen in your organization as a result of improving your training programs? Is there anything that really stands out for you that's really made a big difference or has been super impactful?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this like while we were talking through the webinar. We've really been pushing completion rates. Like, you'll have the ups and downs and how it comes, but we've really been pushing them again in the last couple of weeks actually. And we've been using some activities to kind of incentivize to make it a little more fun and engaging. But then it brought me back to our groups and how much more engaged the stores are with each other because they're able to see each other's questions, and we are seeing them also not wait for the live Q&A anymore when it's an internal answer that they can either find or someone knows themselves. So they are answering each other's questions, helping each other in a different way than we've seen them do that before. So groups and the culture and engagement that it's providing on top of the actual completion rates and the product knowledge and things like that that they're gaining has been really rewarding for us.
Amazing. Thank you. Kaylen, I'm going to jump back to you for a quick moment. I've got a question here. Could you explain what you meant by having Zipline champions? Who were those folks and how did they help you accomplish your goals?
Yeah, so in this case, we didn't go into the project thinking, oh, we're going to pre-assign Zipline champions. They just kind of happened organically, the folks that took to the program the easiest and were consistently reaching out to us saying, "Oh, I found this cool new feature," or "Have you thought of using it this way?" Or raising their hand in Zoom calls about Zipline, showing off the ways that they were using the platform with their teams, tasks that they were setting up for their team, new ways they were using the features. And we just internally started calling them our Zipline champions. So when we had a question about something or a different store manager reached out to us saying, "How do I blank?" We said, "Oh, let's ask a Zipline champion." And that's just kind of it stuck. So it was not an official term. It was just something that happened organically for us. And they've continued to be really useful to us as a peer resource because there's only a finite number of HQ employees to go around. So having those peer resources in the field is really helpful. And they're also the ones using the platform from a field perspective every day. The way I interact with Zipline is going to be different than the way they are interacting with Zipline. So their experience is invaluable.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I mean, those early adopters make a big difference too for feedback and just even understanding what's going on. So that's so great. You recognize it also and could leverage it as well to help others. I'm not sure why for my Zipline folks, I don't see the questions, but I am being helped by Bree in the background. So one question that is still remaining, we can definitely, I can take a stab at, and then Stephanie or Kaylen, if either of you want to chime in and add to it, by all means. Um, and Bree, if you are able to put this question up on the screen, please do so. But does Zipline offer reporting capabilities to demonstrate the value creation the training courses are offering to client groups? So the first thing I'll answer here is yes. But it also depends on what your business goals are, and that helps with what reporting you might need to leverage. So, for example, I work very closely with one of our customers that was really interested in ensuring that leveraging training programs was going to drive adoption overall with their associate group. It was really important for them to get their associates in the field more actively using Zipline. And that was one of the goals that they had as part of the training program. So it wasn't a training specific goal, but it was more adoption oriented. And we were definitely able to set up and make sure that they had the right reporting to be able to monitor that. And they have been very easily been able to now connect all of that effort and progress that they've made in their learning program with associate adoption across the board, and have the right reporting set up in partnership with us to ensure that they have that visibility in the format that they want it in. But I don't know, Stephanie or Kaylen, do you have anything else you'd add to the reporting piece? Oh, Stephanie, you're muted. Just come off mute and then we can.
Every
No.
time.
Oh.
I was going to add that my field leaders and our store managers love being able to have access to it um, without having to wait on reports from HQ to deliver that to them. So just an added piece for those in the field.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, I think that takes us to one last reminder piece, or letting the folks in the audience know about today. We've just launched a new industry newsletter for retail ops and comms, and we wanted to share it all here with you today. You're getting basically a first glimpse that Sidekick is a 5-minute monthly brief with useful insights, quick laughs, and field-ready takeaways. So if you're interested in following along, there should be a link now in our chat. There it is, there where you can subscribe, and we'd love you to follow along with us and continue to get a lot of those great insights. I would also, of course, like to extend a special thank you to Stephanie and Kaylen, the Hollywood Feed and Tecovas crews, for helping us today and teaching all of our attendees all of your expertise. We've really appreciated your time today, and thank you so much for joining. And thank you for all of our attendees as well.